Hope you can hear me. I'm Okino Blue. This is the Anime the Anime Roundtable Stream Edition. Been a little while. It's been, what? I think the last time we did a stream was in late April. I looked at the dates, April 25th, I believe. It's been the better part of, well, let's be honest, more than a month and a half. Anime North has passed. We are now in the middle of with the World Cup just starting here in North America. Saturday afternoon, June 13th, 2026. It's just after 12 o'clock, or it's more like closer to 12:30 now. As I said, it has been a little while. And lots has happened, obviously. Anime North has come and gone. TCAF has come and gone. World Cup has started with the first couple games already now in the books, including the first one here in Toronto. I do want to talk a little bit more about that, and yeah, that is a bit off topic. I get it. Just checking, people are trying to message me at the moment too. I'll have to check that a bit later. Really, this is just to get myself warmed up and used to doing this again, because it's been a while since we've streamed. So yeah, it's been a while since we streamed. I'm not sure we'll get to everything I wanted to do on this stream today, because you saw the title. You probably noticed the title, and maybe that's a teaser for, it'll probably end up being a tease for another one, probably, hopefully not too long after. Okay. So let's go through the agenda just a little bit. Okay, let's go with the most recent, the non-anime stuff to start today. You probably noticed the football jerseys we're wearing here. I have, well, I'll go to the Japanese jersey in a couple minutes. Canada, okay. As you know, if you're keeping up with the World Cup, and we are here in this city, Canada tied Bosnia-Herzegovina yesterday 1-1. It's their first non-loss at the World Cup final. A point. You come away with the feeling, and this is like the feeling with a lot of soccer games these days, especially when it involves the Canadian national team. You come away feeling they could have won that game, but you still feel okay about it too. And you know, a lot of people are still mad that they didn't win. And I think the players there are mad about that. But that was quite the atmosphere from what I could gather watching on TV. And I was watching it with people here in this apartment's gathering room downstairs, and that was a fun atmosphere. Imagine what it would have been like at Toronto Stadium. Imagine what it would have been like at the fan fests at Fort York, where there's a fan fest going on as well, and a watch party. The jersey you see behind me, by the way, people, in case you're curious, and I always love to talk about this, that jersey is the Centennial, is a replica or a take on Canada Soccer's first jersey from 1912. Yeah, when the national team became official, or came to actually be, that was a take on their first uniform. It was a blue jersey with just that maple leaf you see there. This specific jersey was I got in 2012, which was the 100th anniversary of Canada Soccer, or I think or the Canadian Soccer Association, whatever you want to call it. And this was issued by this was made by Umbro at the time, who was the jersey maker, the manufacturer, and they only wore this jersey on two occasions, as far as I could remember, and it was for two friendlies. Both the men and the women played against the United States wearing these jerseys in 2012. Hero Harmony, hey Mike, hey Hero, been a little bit. I know nobody's going to see this because this is really Yeah, we'll go through the jerseys. I was just telling the story of the Centennial jersey that sits behind me, Hero, in light of Canada's 1-1 draw yesterday at the World Cup, which was great, which was good, but you just feel it could have been more. And I'm hoping the players feel hungry once they get to Vancouver for that, because there's a lot of positives in that game from yesterday, and they've set themselves up okay. To at least get out of the stage. It would have been nice to win, though, because they could have set themselves up to win the stage, to win the group, and stay in Canada, stay in Vancouver for the duration of their tournament. Because I think the round of the knockout game the knockout games that are guaranteed to Vancouver, Canada would be in it if they finished top of the group or something like that. Anyway. Well, I was hoping to find some FIFA merch as a memento. Nothing said Toronto for me, and I guess that's fair. Anyway, I thought I'd show that off. As I said, I don't think I have time to do everything I wanted to in this stream, which means that I have a reason to come back on, hopefully not a month and a half later. But we'll go through that, and I'll go through it in just a bit. But yeah, there's that, and I got the scarf at that event as well. So that was in 2012. I've rarely worn that jersey. I don't really wear soccer jerseys. I'll tell you the plan later, okay, Hero? I don't usually wear soccer jerseys. But I wore that yesterday. I have a 2007 or 2006 or 2007 Adidas Canada jersey, but it's too small for me. Anyone interested? That might be given away. The Japanese jersey. Korea has already played their first game. They beat Czechia late Thursday night. Japan plays their first game tomorrow afternoon against the Netherlands. They have a history at the World Cup. The Netherlands have beaten them already in the group stage, I believe, in 2010. They were the better team, but now 16 years later, who knows? The Netherlands weren't what they are still good, but they weren't the team that they probably don't look anything like the team that made the final in 2010. Mind you, there's been a lot of churn, of course. 16 years does that. And you got to think Japan is good too, and you think they can probably do better than the round of 16, which they've been a little bit more consistent in doing. So, if things line up for them, you hope top 8. I really wish I did my research on this a little bit more. That's why I'm wearing the Japanese jersey for the stream today. Probably also because it's unlikely I'll wear it when I go to the Japanese Canadian Cultural Center later today to see the North American premiere of 5 centimeters per second at the Toronto Japanese Film Festival at 4 p.m. That's why we may have to cut this a little short. So there you go. That's the reason. I'm not so sure I want to wear this jersey there. I want to look a little bit more formal for a take on, for the live action take on one of Makoto Shinkai's. Well, my personal, probably the one that had me really sitting there in a silent room after watching it for the first time. So there it is. That's at 4 p.m. today. Apparently, tickets are still available. I know most people who will see this, or at least the half dozen people who will see this and care to see it, will probably see it after the fact. But it is at 4 p.m. later today. Worth checking out. I have my tickets. I'll go with, and I'll go with a couple friends. Anyway, there's my reasons for that. Anyway, ooh shoot, no plan. So yeah, sorry, Hero. I'm not going to roam downtown wearing this. And this is probably the only time I could safely wear. I'll otherwise wear this jersey. Where I work has a reasonable number of Korean workers, and I don't want to really antagonize my colleagues. I did I will tell you, I've had two other national team jerseys before, and I've given them away. One was an American jersey with their old logo on it. I gave it to my, I guess, lack of a better choice of words, my stepnephew. Um, so my cousin's girlfriend's son, I guess, for lack of a better, so I call him my stepnephew. Um, I gave that to him some years back. It was a white jersey. And then, yes, I did have a Korean jersey, which I rarely wore also. It was their 2010 World Cup uniform. This is, by the way, I believe their 2018, the Japanese 2018 uniform, just for reference. The 20, the fate of that one is probably an okay story. I didn't wear it much. At a point, I was just felt like I couldn't appreciate it nearly as much, so I looked to sell it to somebody who would. Nobody bought it on Facebook, so at a point I just gave it away. I gave it to my neighbors, to my neighbors at the time across my hallway there, who were a middle-aged Korean couple, but their adult daughter at least lived with them. So I gave it to them, and for some months I didn't know the exact fate. I just told them, can you take it for me? Can you find somebody who will appreciate it? And a few months later, or sometime later, I found out the fate of the jersey. Turns out they donated it to their Presbyterian church and their youth group, and it would be the top prize in a volunteer program contest I think they were doing at the time. And they told me one of them, a young boy, a young teenager, was especially keen to getting it. Beyond that, I don't know exactly who ended up with the jersey, but I know it really would be with somebody who does appreciate it. On that note, yes, I'm looking to get something a little bit more updated. My cousin is a manager at a Nike store here in the GTA, and I did ask him to get one of the Canadian jerseys. Hopefully, I'll have that within the next few days. I asked him to buy it for me, and I'd pay him back without fail. And we'll see if he saw my message. I did ask him though, point blank, what are the most requested jerseys that you don't have in stock right now? And number one really didn't surprise me, and maybe number two won't surprise you either. Number one is Brazil. He told me they got at least 50 requests a day for that. Number two is Korea, and maybe it shouldn't be a huge surprise considering the makeup of this area too. Everybody else that would be popular, they actually have in stock for Nike. So they have I think France is among them as well. So they get 20 requests, and he told me they're unlikely to get restocks of those jerseys until the latter part of the group stage. So I guess in a couple weeks' time. And by then, as teams get eliminated, traditionally a lot of those jerseys go on sale. We'll see what happens in this case. I don't think it's worth doing that, especially with something like Brazil. We probably won't get eliminated early. Or with Korea, because your market's there. I don't know. Korea, with their win yesterday, did put themselves in a good position, though. So to at least get to the round of 32. We'll see. I don't know. I have to look up the rest of their group, but hey, a win's a win. They got 3 points, something Canada wishes they had yesterday. But as I said, the Canadian team should feel okay, just no finish. That's something they just got to work on. And of course, if you watch the game, the goal that they let in was unnecessary, I thought. That was just some poor defending and poor goalkeeping, quite honestly. They just let themselves get caught. Anyway, so enough on the soccer. We are 3 weeks done with Anime North. We are a week withdrawn from TCAF. Which order do you want me to go with first today? Do you want to hear the TCAF story, or do you want to hear the follow up, my version of day 3? There is a follow up to the stuff we did talk about on the podcast from that from Saturday night. So I do have a follow up from day 3 of some of the stuff we talked about during the Anime North tapings. I'm going to put my headphones down again because there's no point in keeping it. Okay, the AN story. It's just you, Hero. Let's go through the AN story. Okay. Yes. Okay. The follow-up is the autographs. Yes, we did take one final crack at doing. And by the way, it was a little drier. And oh, the poor grass out there. There's a part of me that does want to go by the Toronto Congress Center to see what the mud looks like and the dirt looks like outside there right now. Anyway, yeah, I guess the upshot of talking Anime North is we did take one final crack after a bunch of stuff to try to get an autograph from either of the Inoues, either Honoka or Kikoku. And at a point, I kind of, I maybe bailed out or hedged my bets a little bit. And just said, I said to myself, I wouldn't be picky whether I'd get the mother or the daughter. And this is what the people, like the people securing the line kept saying, mother, daughter. And basically it's anybody. It was a bit chaotic again. You had to get there real early. They would just take somebody from the crowd and let you go into one of the 2 lineups. And hear the podcast out. Norm basically did peg it okay, and what in his in the talk there. I know most people won't accept the explanation, but there was a protocol to keep, in terms of how the time and specifics about them. The lineup, I guess, will be another story and will be re-examined, but they had to go with what had already been established and what's already happened for Anime North. And I got, well, there's this phrase, you can't always get what you want, but at that whole line, that whole Rolling Stones song, you can't always get what you want, but maybe you'll get what you need. So I wasn't picky. I was quickly, literally in front of me, given an opportunity to get into Honoka's line. And that's what I took. And stayed in it, had wonderful conversations with everybody in the lineup. And yes, I met Honoka and had a wonderful conversation with her. A wonderful chat. Greeted her. Wonderful greeting. She is such a bubbly, wonderful person to have chatted with for that couple of minutes we were able to chat. Certainly happy to be there. I hope her and her mom were able to get to PEI because she did want to go see Green Gables and see PEI and see where Anne was from. As for the item that I got autographed, many people brought items from her previous shows. Probably the most common was probably volumes of Fragrant Flower, which she was so happy to sign. Mine was a little different. It was Fragrant Flower as well, but it's the Japanese copy of the back end of season 1 on Blu-ray, which featured Waguri on the cover. You can see she gave me a baseball card. She signed, and it wasn't the slipcase because that's a see-through. She signed the back cover. A big thank you to my friend, who who, as a thank you for helping her out during the weekend, gave this to me. And let me get. I'm almost sentimental. I have to stop right now because I did want to show you the item that I did want to get her to sign. If I had a chance to talk to Kikoku, this is the book that I mentioned on the podcast, which is a voice gallery book. And as you can see, it has pictures of all the other of many voices from the time, from the day, from the 90s. And yeah, there's Kikoku. There she is. So this is what I would have asked her to sign. Failing that, I did show Honoka these photos, the picture of her mom. And these photos would have been taken in the mid 90s, maybe a couple years before she was born. So I showed her these pictures, and Honoka's eyes just bugged out seeing her mom. She just said, "Oh my goodness, Okasan," she just said. And then she just said in Japanese, "She looks so young in these photos." And I just joked with her, "Well, she is forever 17." And then she just replied, "Oi, oi, oi," which is basically the inside joke of how Kikoku loves to introduce herself. Basically saying, in Japanese, "My name is Kikoku Inoue. I'm 17 years old." And that's basically her introduction. And her daughter, Honoka, knows the joke too. So obviously would know that inside joke. So she certainly played along. As I said, didn't get what I wanted, but maybe got what I really needed. And that was really cool for me. It was so nice to talk with her. Of course, it would have been nice to talk with her mom for a minute or two, but I can't say I'm really disappointed either. That was just so much fun, and to see that angle and see that reaction to the photo, that's pretty was pretty much worth the trouble as well. So only one autograph still remains in this, Hikaru Midorikawa's. I guess it'll stay that way for the rest of our lives. But still a great story. Still a great story, and it was so cool to at least chat with her. It was cool to chat with, to at least ask a question of her mom on Friday as well. Okay, it was mentioned on the podcast as well. I did get this signed by Yoshimatsu, the character designer of the first Trigun anime. I'm going to show those off one more time. As you can see, Naito's autograph on the bottom, and then on the sides there you see Yoshimatsu's. So it looks like it's. I have to protect this. I have to protect this just a little bit more, but it still looks pretty cool. Anyway, so that's the Anime North story. TCAF. Okay, TCAF. I wish I had a picture one other thing. And let me just see if I can get this photo in here. Or at least show... I do have one final follow-up also. But let me see if I can get this in first so you guys can see this photo one more time. Yeah, just give me 1 second here. As many of you know, just before Anime North, I showed this picture of Kathy Shutt. The tribute pin that the office staff and the back of house staff at AN wore in tribute to Kathy Shutt. I do have a bit of a follow-up to that. One of my other traditions on Sunday is also is going into the office and chatting with, Norm we chat with on Saturday night. I chat with his sister Eileen, who's the program director there. And she's usually she's usually in the office, being traffic cop there. I do have a little bit more information concerning the pin. I do have a bit of a follow-up. She saw this post. She has seen this post, and she acknowledges that the staff have received more than a few inquiries about the pin. They are seriously considering a more permanent version of this pin, an enamel pin. But they want to know. They just want people to know if there's any interest. I know this isn't a hard sell, especially to the diehard Anime North pin collectors, or anime pin collectors, and certainly Anime North fans. They're hoping to. The thinking is they'll make a more metal die-cast version, because this is actually a pressed paper version, and they'll hope to put this up and sell it and give the proceeds to charity. Probably the Sick Kids Foundation, which has been always the charity of choice for AN. I'm just sharing that right now, letting everybody know about it. I think they're still on. I think collectively they're still on the fence, because they want to know. They want to be sure that they can sell all of them. Because I think it'll be a limited run when they do. Like they were actually very on the fence of making them before AN, but they just didn't know if it would be worth, it would be worth doing. But knowing the reaction that this version of the pin got, they're seriously considering it. They don't know exactly how many they'd make. I'm calling on. Hopefully, Anime North fans will see this, and I'll call on them to lobby for them to make as many as they could. We talked about if you listen to the episode, and do so, get it wherever you get your podcast. Maybe I'll put a link. I'll put a link in the X. Maybe I'll put a link in the YouTube description of this video as well, of this stream, and you can check it out. We did talk about Kathy with Norm. I relayed a couple of stories about her, and Kathy, I keep saying, was the one who really made us feel welcome when we brought the podcast back here in 2018. And she made me, and the conversation has at least made me reflect as to our status as Anime North's official podcaster. And the conversation I had with Norm that night certainly, I think, made me more comfortable in calling ourselves that. So at least, and talking with Eileen as well, I kind of expressed those same anxieties, and she said, "There's, she said, don't worry about really saying anything, being too critical, because we trash each other all the time." She basically said, we argue all the time, and the discussions, I think, and that's also just to say, from her standpoint, it's just healthy to talk about it that way. Talking about the autographs wasn't easy, the way that went, but they appreciate knowing those type of things, and obviously that's something they'll want to talk about later on, or re-examine a little later on for the future. As I said, to be fair to AN and the organizers, it had been 7 years since Junko Iwao showed up. Since we had a seiyuu who would have been a major seiyuu of the last 30 years, right? We had older voices since then, ones that I think the voice of Astro Boy, actually. I do have one final story about the autographs, and then I'll repeat it probably on the podcast. But let me just quickly say this. So there had been pent up demand for something like this at AN, to see Japanese, more recent Japanese seiyuu. And no matter how hard you try, sometimes you cannot prepare until you see how you go through the adrenaline of doing it yourself. Let's go back to the Canada game yesterday. People say all the prep, maybe there were nerves anyway. That's probably the best way to describe that first half against Bosnia. The nerve showed. And once they got their swing, they got a lot figured out. And maybe that's what AN has to do. There's this feeling. I get this feeling this isn't the last time we'll see a major Seiyu, at least a more recent Seiyu, come to Anime North. I could foresee it happening again in the pretty near future. Talking with enough people there, I think they see there's a lot of good that has happened, and a lot of connections that I think they've established in recent years to make sure they'll be able to pull it off sooner. Another Japanese Seiyu guest. Sooner rather than later. Production guests, I think, are a little easier for them, but this was a major thing, and the way we go about this, the way we go about to trying to get autographs from these stars, from guests like these, have also changed since pandemic times as well. The demand is higher, and we have to, and I think there's just an understanding of how to deal with that. And Anime North got a chance to get a sense of where their bar is on something like this. And once again, one final thing to be fair. As much as we want to complain about this, my Japanese friends kind of put it into perspective for me about getting autographs not getting autographs from Japanese voices. She mentioned this to one of her friends based in Japan, and that friend basically almost snapped at her, saying, "Well, you're lucky to even have a chance to get an autograph, because whenever Japanese voices make public appearances in Japan themselves, you don't really get a chance to get close to them. There used to be high five lines. Remember when idols like when AKB 48 and Nogi and the 46 band and the 46 groups used to have those appearances and ended them with high five sessions. You don't get that close. I'll get to that. I'll try and answer the question in a sec. So you can't really get close to them, much less be able to get an autograph. That's rare. Getting a chance to get an autograph from Japanese idols and Seiyu are actually few and far between in Japan. And some will, and any visitors, visitors in the area who have that chance. A lot of Japanese will fly to Western conventions if they know they can get an autograph from a Japanese voice or a Japanese idol for that chance. So a lot, and I think it wouldn't surprise me. And by the way, Kikoku doesn't do many. From what I understand, she hasn't done too many autograph appearances in recent years. So this was a real treat for AN to be able to get that opportunity. Which leads me to one of my observations from Sunday. After I'd gotten my autograph from Honoka, I was still watching and probably tried to see if I could still get one more ticket to get into Kikoku's line, which I didn't, by the way, obviously. But as I was watching in the afterglow of at least getting the autograph I got, I saw somebody walking away from Kikoku's line, holding an item, and she looked like she was on the verge of tears. I don't know if she either got assaulted or jostled, or maybe she was happy. I'd like to think it was the latter. But it made me think of what I just told you, right? The opportunity to get an autograph like that is few and far between. And we were lucky to have even gotten the chance. And of course, many of us were lucky enough, enough of us were lucky enough to get an autograph from one of those two. It was a real pleasure seeing both of them there. Hope they visit Canada again soon, and maybe Anime North. Hero Harmony asked, I'm curious if it's appropriate for me to ask, is there a cost to influence VAs to come to AN? Influence in what way, Hero? Talking with the organizers, I just know they are happy with the connections they've made. And those things kind of build, right? The sense I get was this didn't happen. This appearance didn't happen wasn't agreed to overnight, and I think Anime North does take a lot of things. Does take their impressions, the impression they give to Japanese, to the actual Japanese, fairly serious. And I get it. I get, what sometimes the outside appearances will give, but the type of network they do have to be able to do these type of things. Actually, when I reflect on it and start to get an inkling of it myself, it's vast. It's there. And like this type of stuff they can do without actually being a nonprofit is actually really, really kind of impressive. Wondering what it takes for them to get to AN, especially against the option of doing things like Fan Expo, where people pay $300 to say hello. I don't know, actually. I mean, okay, we talk about paying a certain amount at what is it, at Anirevo to be able to have gotten the Uesaka type stuff. I really can't speak to the costs personally. I wish, I wouldn't know, to be quite honest with you. I would think they have the funding to be able to pull something like that off. Anime North does do okay, I think, financially. So I mean, they've done well enough to be able to to get the spaces they do. So I think they've built up okay. Are you talking about the cost to be able to bring them over? To be able to get these guests? Who knows? For us, we never had to pay anything, by the way, to get anything signed, to get the autographs here. It's just that they would have been limited, and the autographs had to be of items that were official. So no bootlegs, no. At the most away you could get was maybe your badge, but no piece of paper, no bootleg material. It had to be personalized. So I guess that would take away the idea of flipping it later on. Of eBaying it, and that market is there. I mean, the secondhand market, the resale market, yeah. So I think it's free, but so for us it was free, but it had to be personalized. That's why you see my name there. So who knows? Who knows? I wish I had a better answer for that, though, Hero. I wish I did. Anyway. TCAF, okay, last thing. I guess we won't be able to get to what sits behind the chair, but I'll at least show you a little bit of that and maybe tease for the future. TCAF. For the first time, I had time to actually do something at TCAF, and I sort of punted it, but I'll tell you how in just a bit. Last Saturday, let me see if I can get a picture of him first of all. Last Saturday, last Saturday during TCAF, we had a discussion of, like the Japan Foundation had a quick talk with Billy Tringali. Let me just quickly show that. quickly. Billy Tringali, this is his website right here, and he started the Journal of JAMS, the Journal of Anime and Manga Studies. So he's based at Indiana University, or at the University of Indiana. Indiana, there it is, Indiana University, Indianapolis. He is the editor of the Journal of Anime and Manga Studies. It's free. It's online. This is his website, and there's a link to his billytringali.com, and there's a link to his the journal. It's free to read online. So there he is right there. He spoke at the Japan Foundation. Basically, it was just an overview of the journal, giving some of the it really didn't focus on any one topic, but it focused on what you can find in the journal and the type of stuff they like to talk about and how seriously they like to talk about this stuff in an academic sense. And he's a bit of a data hound too, much like who now his name escapes me, but much like, oh boy, everything's escaping me today, dude. Not much different from Miles Atherton, or he, who I spoke with at AN. There's a stuff there. So we just talked a little bit about, how anime has started to really impact mainstream society. That was part of it. But then he went into some specific topics we're talking about, like anime cons and lockdown, anime as pilgrimage, use of anime and manga imagery in messaging and in real life protests. And it was just a general, just a very general thing. And if you really don't need to have seen it to get the upshot of what he wanted to talk about. Really, just open up the Journal of Anime and Manga Studies. But he did talk. But I think the one takeaway that did stick out to me about his talk was when he talked about anime cons and lockdowns, or more specifically, he has a friend amongst the group who specializes in keeping students engaged, especially in their first year of university and college. And I think a lot of it pointed to just finding community and how anime clubs actually help in something like that. Keeping first year students and preventing them from dropping out. So I think trying to be able to something like that, anime and manga as a benefit to society as opposed to a detriment. Well, of course, there's that talk too. But that's Billy Tringali, and I did speak with him after the talk. Really cool. We're exchanging messages. He's a guy I really want to talk to for the podcast, and I know that, and I know he'll take some fascination with also any academic studies that would have taken place in anime, manga, East Asian pop culture before he himself really got into it as well. So that's part of it. So that was in the early afternoon last Saturday, and then I tried to make my way to TCAF. Went the wrong way. Oh, for the I Don't Like Mondays group, my guess is if they were incited to be in AN to give us a little taste of a bigger concert tour in the West. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I admit I didn't see I don't like Mondays myself. So let me see if there's anything in the is there anything in the, let me acknowledge the other parts of the chat here. Nothing else going on. Okay, cool. Wow, my computer's doing this. to give us a little taste of a bigger concert tour in the West, especially in Canada. You know, I heard I heard that was fun, but yeah, I wish I could speak to it. I just didn't. I just did not go to see the group. Anyway, the other thing I want to talk about. Okay, try to get down to TCAF. Or I can hear the fan on my computer. I guess I'm really going at it today. Tried to go to TCAF. Went the wrong way initially on Yonge Street. When I finally got there, got a little hungry. Went to a curry restaurant actually near Mattamy Athletics Center. Let me just pull that up. Yeah, near the gardens. There's this near Mattamy Athletic Center. There's this place called Hinoya Curry, which is a very popular chain, I think, in Japan. So I just went in for a snack, and it wasn't bad. I liked it. I'll certainly go again. But then I got to the venue, and I got to Mattamy Athletic Center, and I found out the hard way. That TCAF closes at 5 o'clock. I got there at 5:02 p.m. So I kind of saw a bit of TCAF programming, but I didn't actually get to TCAF. But I did talk with James. He did go, and he'll give you more of a report later on, I guess. So, you know, I can't say I regret any part of it. I think it's still a funny story, and I'll probably retell it again in the recording as we talk about, we talk about the follow-up to Anime North. Anyway, I did say I had probably no more than an hour, and it's 1:15. The movie is at 4 p.m. I actually have to get ready for seeing 5 centimeters per second. I will let you know, though. Let's take a look at what's going to happen. How's the camera? Okay, let's move this a little bit more forward so you guys can kind of see this. Below, as you can see, some things came in the mail, as you can see, right? Gonna make sure nothing really goes down here. So some things came in the mail, maybe, and I do want to take a chance to open it. I guess I won't be able to do it today. I guess the one thing maybe worth looking at right now is maybe what's in here. Because I did make a promise I'd take a look at this soon enough. This is from, I did buy a t-shirt at Uniqlo about a week ago. I had yet to open it, so let's look at that now. I'm going to just tear this open. I know what's in, and yes, I know what's in all of these, everything you see here, I know what's in there. But I've yet to see them myself. Ah, okay. Being the Kaguya-sama fan that I am, I was made aware that these t-shirts existed. I'm not sure I'd wear pink. But there it is. How big? How small? Is it too big? Is it too small? Yeah, it could be. I don't usually wear pink, though. But I did want to get this. But there you go. All right, I got to fold this back up. Or maybe I'll just put it here. Anyway, that's, yeah, and I have to see if this actually fits. Oh, Hinamizawa victim. Hey, what's up? I figured you had work today. Pink is a man's color, you know. Pink doesn't get pink. Let's call it salmon. Okay. Where is it from? Just got in. This is from Uniqlo. So, just reaching the end of this because I'm going to go out to see the live action 5 centimeters per second in just a little bit. meeting up with a few friends there. I guess after, I'm hoping either, well, I'm not sure tonight because I'm going to be watching soccer games. And the last game starts at midnight tonight. And Japan plays tomorrow, as I said, against Belgium, but I won't be wearing this to work. But I do hope to be able to show off some of the stuff that have come in the mail, or in this case from Anime North, and show you what I ended up today, what I've gotten from that. But as I said, I only had. But really, part of this was just to get settled back in again. As you can see, I had to use the wireless mic today. I haven't actually put together the regular mics back into the interface. I was reduced to using this, and that's just the way it is. I have motivation to be back sooner than a month and a half at least, because I want to open these too and at least give my eBay reviews to the people who sent them. So, and they deserve at least as much. So maybe I'll talk with you before the end of the weekend. If I'm up for it, it could be as early as 2 a.m. today after the last soccer game, or maybe I'll just have it on in the background and I'll watch it with you. In any event, check it out. Check us out on our socials. I'll be sure to update the X because I have yet to even update that with the latest episode. With the Anime North episode at Anime Roundtable, animeroundtable.com, just for the links to everything else. Yes, the blog should be updated. It's been more than a year, but we've sort of given it a backup now. Maybe we should give a more direct link to where the updated version is. And if you're watching this on YouTube, give it a like. And if you're watching on Twitch, thanks for popping by. If you haven't, give us a follow. I'll hopefully talk with you a bit later on, probably in a day or so. As I said, just got to get cleaned up. I should get something to eat. I've yet to eat. I've yet to have breakfast too. Oh, lunch. I should have lunch. I'll go get something to eat before I collapse. I'll talk with you later.